In today's video, we're going to compare DJI's RC-N1 controller
and the RC controller.
So the first point, and this is the main strong argument for the RC-N1, and that's the cost. So to buy the Mini 3 Pro plus the RC-N1, it's $709, whereas if you go for the new RC, it's $859. So there's a £150 price difference. That said, if you don't mind buying used gear, Dave, when he bought his RC controller, he got a really good deal.
Yeah, £600 Firmware combo with the RC controller, and it's good condition as well. It's actually perfect condition, no problems, no scratches, nothing, so it's absolute bargain.
So when I was looking, that sort of deal wasn't available, so it is your personal preference. Do you mind buying used or not? You can still get care refresh as well, can't you?
Yeah, the only thing is, obviously with the care refresh, because it's been activated prior, you have to go through a process with DJI where you do the verification with the gimbal and you have to screen record on here, which is a really good feature on this controller. Once you screen record and do all the things DJI tell you to do, they verify it and then they give you a link and then you can download and buy the care refresh, and that's what I've done.
Yeah, so I think everyone's position is slightly different. It's if you already own, it's going to be harder to get that RC for say £150. It's if you're buying it as a package. And then what I would always argue is a good thing is if you don't like it, then you can always sell it on and possibly make a little bit of profit on it and put that towards a trip. But certainly if you want to buy just new and you already have the RC-N1, that was my main reason for sticking with what I've got. So another advantage of sticking with the RC-N1 controller is the fact you don't have to worry about protecting the screen. And I think this is a really big deal if you want to travel abroad. Let's say you're traveling with Ryanair and you want to keep really maximize the space you've got. So I like to have the option to be able to hold the drone just in this case, and then if I want to, I don't have to be so fussy about protecting this in with the luggage. I mean, Dave has a screen protector for this, so it's not so fragile, but I wouldn't want to just put that in the luggage by itself. So far it's 2-0 to the RC-N1. Now the main advantage of the new RC is the setup time. So let's jump outside and we'll give a quick test and see the difference in time it takes to set up both controllers. It took me 37 seconds to set up and Dave 35 seconds to set up. So not a huge difference. However, if you look, I'm far more frenetic with what I've got to do, and it's also going to take me longer to pack up afterwards. Dave looks far more relaxed, he even has the luxury of being able to scratch his eye at this point. So I think there is a slight advantage with the RC controller. That said, a lot factors in whether you have to apply a sun hood to the old RC-N1. And I do feel like if you're going to take your filmmaking with your drone really seriously, you shouldn't really be flying at times in really bright sunlight anyway. You want to be going for overcast and sunset, those sorts of times. So it is an advantage if you're going to set up quick shots with the RC, but it's probably not as much as we make out, you know, because I think if you really plan ahead, if you think of the lighting, the weather is your lighting crew, then you should really time your shots where you shouldn't need the sun hood anyway. So the next factor, and this is one for the RC, is the visibility.
It's 2 to 3 times brighter than your smartphone, so that's a huge advantage.
Visibility is a factor though, because obviously the better you can see the screen, you're going to should be able to take better shots. Like you're going to be able to judge your shots better. So that is a big advantage. But I would say with a good phone, you can still see shots well.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And I also think that we're talking so much about controllers now. The real key is your monitor when you're editing afterwards. There's probably not enough spoken about that in the drone world. So I don't feel like it's a huge disadvantage by using my phone. But I do think it is an advantage for the RC, and it also depends on your own eyesight. You know.
Yeah, and a quick tip as well. A lot of people go out like seeing videos complaining how to get a phone call. Well, an easy solution is that just put your phone in Do Not Disturb. That's what I always used to do. No one can phone you.
So at the moment it's 2-2, and next point is going to be one again for the trusty RC-N1 controller, and that is to do with this is the strongest reason why I'm actually glad I've stuck with this, and that is the amount of bugs, firmware updates and just the general familiarity, sticking with what, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, basically. It's actually starting to annoy me, the amount of firmware updates that there are.
Yeah, I've had, I think I've texted you, I've said about, in the last 2 months, I've had to update this 3 times, give or take, maybe 4 times. So obviously when you want to go out and shoot and you got like a cracking, you know, sunset or, you know, golden hour, you're like, right, I need to go and get a shot right now. And you're like, oh, I've got an update now, and you got to wait. And
then you've got to recharge your batteries again. And I always say, like, it's not what we got into drones to do. We don't want to become these geeks that are like just staring at our screens all the time. We want to be out there creating content, and I don't want to faff around. There's just so much faffing around. I mean, I do, from what I've seen, the issues are now fixed. So I think if you're coming in now, there's an argument to get the RC, because hopefully they've fixed the issues. But if you'd have bought that from the start, it would have been just really annoying going through that process. Also, on the point of familiarity, now this is the main issue Dave has with the new RC, is the way the sensitivity of the sticks. And it's more of a rugged feel on the old RC-N1. It's more resistance. So Dave's actually struggling more now with the RC doing his orbits.
Yeah, I think that's down to muscle mass memory, to be honest. But what I've noticed from going for the RC-N1 and the Mini 2 to the RC and the Mini 3 Pro, it's like anything, you have to get used to it. But it just feels a lot more sensitive. But I just have to adjust the settings accordingly. But it's definitely.
But it is actually how the sticks actually move.
Yeah, you
can change the settings, but it, like, physically, these are like lighter. It feels like you've got a sort of twig, whereas this is, you know, stronger.
It just feels like more secure.
Yeah,
it's weird. It's like the build of the Mini 2 itself. I personally feel that's a better build than the Mini 3 Pro, but I think that's subconscious as well, because you know the Mini 3 Pro is a lot more expensive, so subconsciously, like, I don't want to break this. I don't want to break the Mini 3 Pro, but the Mini 2 and the RC-N1, you just trust. It's strange, but I think that's the price and the.
That was also one, from the start I made a decision, right, this is just the controller, it's something I'm not familiar with. I want to stick with what I know and not have all these things. So I know the way this stick feels, I've got used to this. That was my decision, and why I'm still happy with the RC-N1. You know, it is, the drone itself is just a tool, and this is just the tool handle. And I think with all the marketing and everything, you get sucked into thinking you have to have this new gadget, whereas it's not as important really as what we made to believe by the marketers. So the next factor, and this is an advantage for the new RC, is being able to screen record as you're flying, which I think is a very useful feature. I mean, I don't mind screen recording on my phone, but it is going to use up space, and it is handy to have that, be able to put your SD card in. If you want to use the DJI mics, I don't, but if you do, you can record the audio from your drone. So being on the ecosystem, there are some advantages to that.
Yeah, because you can actually, it's got a slot in here to put an SD card in. So I'm just going to show you where the SD card is, just at the bottom here, but this can be a bit fidgety when you open it up. Unlike the DJI Mini 3 Pro, you can actually just get your fingernail in and it will pop out, like so. I've got an S64 gig. Yeah, I feel like that's all you need, to be honest. And that just pops back down. It's got USB Type-C cable. You've got your C1 and C2 buttons, and that's where you store your sticks. You've got 2 rotors, one for the gimbal and one for the zoom.
At the moment, the RC-N1 is still ahead in the race, but we've got one final factor which is going to go for the RC, and that is not eating up your phone battery life. I think that is a big factor. It can be quite stressful when you're going out for the day. You want to use your phone for using maps and everything, and you're also worrying about the bright. You want to have your phone on bright as well to be able to see your drone, and it can really eat into your battery life, and then you might run out at the end of the day, get lost, etc. There is one thing with this though, is I have 2 phones. I have a spare phone, so it's really not an issue for me. I keep my old S9 Samsung, and I more or less use it as a remote for my drone. So if you still have a spare phone, I don't think it's really a big factor.
What's your spare phone for here?
You can also charge your phone through the controller, although it does make a little bit of difference. But realistically, if you've got your phone on brightly, it is going to eat into more than it actually charges. So overall, we've ended on a draw, and I generally think this. Look here. This is the thing, guys. This is my advice. It depends what situation you are in right now. If you don't have a drone at all, I'd be looking at what Dave did, where if you don't mind buying used, I would look for a good deal to get the new RC. They have fixed a lot of the bugs now, and if you don't like it, you can always just sell separately the new controller, make a little bit of money on that, and then go for the RC-N1, which is a lot cheaper. I'm happy with what I've got. I don't want to spend another £150 extra to get this. I've got to get used to new way of the sticks moving. I'd be more curious in future if DJI release a future controller where it's got some sort of flap that protects the screen. Then I don't have to worry about my footprint when I'm traveling abroad. So I'm not really, I think it's important not to go in with the FOMO. You know, you see all the other influencers going around with this flash new screen. Sometimes subconsciously we can think this is a bit dated. Just remember though, when we saw the old amazing videos of say the Mavic Air, the Air 2S, you know, this is the same controller when we saw that. You know, we saw the Sam Calder advert, he's unpacking it. This hasn't changed, and it's the familiarity with what you know.
If you're listening, DJI, a little tip for you, design, why not make the flip out like the cameras, where you can just flip out, turn over, and you've got the cover, you know.
I think that'd be brilliant. I'm sure they will do that in the future. So my attitude with the controllers is almost like sometimes it's good to skip a generation, skip a model, and that's what I'm doing with this. And I'm just glad I've not wasted all this time updating the drone, having the bugs. You know, there was something to do with the altitude, wasn't there, where the drone was descending while you were flying, which is just annoying. A little quick thing, we haven't really spoken about the range. I don't think there's much difference. Some people have actually complained about with the new RC, and I think realistically the Mini 3 Pro, the range is pretty good, but it's not amazing whichever you use. You can get range extenders now for this.
Yeah, I don't really see the point, because your VLOS, you know, it's just, are you really going to fly that much further? I know we have range tests that we see on, you know, guys do, but are you going to do it yourself? A sensible pilot for views, there's no point, is there? Also, realistically, the main issue with the range is really Wi-Fi interference. So if you have the extenders, yeah, they did give you a stronger signal, but if you get Wi-Fi interference, that's still going to be there. Yeah, close to buildings. When we filmed in Manchester, I went to fly through these two buildings, and I noticed it started to veer off, so I wouldn't do that again. So cheers for watching, guys. I'll leave a link to Dave's YouTube as well. He's got some great shots there. We fly out together a lot. In today's video, we're going to compare DJI's RC-N1 controller. Something set him off.